The Healer and the Dreamer Astrology channel presents the inner planets, the archetypes, and their cycles.
This video, we're going to be doing Venus in Sagittarius from December 29th to January 23rd, and Mars in Capricorn from January 4th to February 13th, 2024.
The Influencer and the Manifester.
Hello.
Yo, MC Starman here with Diana Robinson, Martin Comtois, for those who like the French accent. I'm moving back to Quebec coming up shortly, in the next few months, so you'll hear my accent more and more. Big changes brewing.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year and all of that good stuff. And we did a fabulous video on the year ahead. We invite you to go visit that. And again, we want to thank you and remind you to massage the algorithms. The more you share, the more you like, and the more you subscribe to the channel, the more we grow. And so that's your part, plus also asking beautiful questions. And we've been getting so many of them. It's very encouraging as we grow. And tonight we called the channel the Influencer and the Manifester. But really we have a subtitle to it called Sassy and Feisty. Feeling quite feisty and sassy today, so we'll let that. Plus, we tried something new. I don't know if you witnessed it, but we put the table a little higher and a different shot and more lighting, and we're hoping that the sound's good too. I know we have lots of friends that have been commenting that our sound's not loud enough, that we should have lapel mics. So let us know how we're doing. And then we have a blooming orchid out of our beautiful collection. So let's talk about Venus and Mars coming into new signs. So you see here Venus coming into Sagittarius and Mars coming into Capricorn just a few days apart. By the time you watch this video, Venus will already be in Sagittarius and Mars will be entering just in Capricorn. So the influencer and the manifester. So how do you see that? How do you see Venus in Sagittarius, and how do you see Mars in Capricorn?
Venus in Sagittarius. I see Venus in Sagittarius kind of like the feminine aspects of herself that are looking for truth and understanding and to make meaning out of maybe the darker times or the chaos. I look at it because Sagittarius comes after Scorpio. There's this like going into the depths of something and then trying to make meaning out of it. So maybe something chaotic would happen, and then how do you take away the fruit, or how do you make meaning out of it all? So there's that kind of energy there. And then Mars.
Let's start with Venus in Sagittarius, because we'll discuss that more, what you just said. And so I've been doing a lot of study into the feminine archetype and the Venus and the moon recently, reading some wonderful books about from Erich Neumann and of course Jung about, and also in readings, I think it's an archetypal necessity of our times to integrate a healthier relationship with the feminine. And so we have the moon, and the moon, we have all a very, the moon gets a lot of press, It's an archetype, the mother archetype. I think we all have an engagement with that mother archetype, our own mothers, the great mother, Mother Earth, the moon, we, kind of more familiar with that aspect of the great mother. The Venus archetype is a much more complex, and what Neumann says, which is very interesting, is that there are different levels of the expression of the sacred feminine seen from the lens of Venus. So we have Venus in the basic, the very basic, that's the woman, the maiden, the maiden, the unmarried woman, the undeveloped feminine who basically looks at the man as she would look at as the father. She doesn't have a very developed relationship with the masculine because she hasn't really become a woman fully yet. So she's the maiden, so that's a lower level and, flirty and sassy and, all of the things that we, and really in our collective, we haven't really evolved much more profoundly than the Barbie doll, just that the Barbie movie gets so much, that's how we see the feminine archetype. And I didn't see the movie, but I think they would be a very interesting study into the feminine archetype. And I think, anyway, blah, blah, blah. But then what is the next level, Then we have, well, there's obviously the mother, where, then, and the descent of Venus or Persephone into hell in the myth of Persephone, but also we experience that myth, Cinderella, Snow White, these are all aspects of Venus, and these are all myths and fairy tales about the evolution, and we have countless myths on Greek myths and others that, allow for the descent into hell and the rebirth of the sacred feminine to a higher octave of expression. So that's the evolution. So then the the maiden then becomes the mother. And depending on who you talk to, there's different levels of evolution. But the highest level of evolution of the feminine is what we call, there's the priestess, but this word Sophia. Sophia as the feminine wisdom of God, like the word philosophia, philosophy as the root Sophia in it, Sophie, philosophy, sophisticated, sophisticated lady. So that's the wise archetype of the feminine as the wisdom of God. And so then I was thinking about that, Venus in Sagittarius is a lot like a wisdom expression, fiery, intuitive, wise woman, priestess, but more like the influencer, who through her wisdom and her beauty influences others to do what is right. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it's a beautiful connection to Venus and Sagittarius. I definitely see that potential. I think that layering system makes a lot of sense, and there's a lot of ways I see the feminine do beautiful work, and then there's also lower expressions that still need to be evolved within myself and also within the society at large.
I think that's very important process, the evolution of the sacred feminine gives, it really has a lot to do with how we deal with the masculine within ourselves.
Absolutely.
And also that aspect of the feminine, the Venus archetypal structure, the Sophia archetypal structure, is what facilitates the evolution of the sacred masculine. She is responsible for God evolving into a wiser God,
I think about its relationship to the sun too, and how it's always so close to the sun. Like Venus is never too far, and as the daughter of the father, and the evolution that they both stimulate each other to continuously grow on. It's neat.
Yes, so that's fascinating. Sophia first made its appearance into Jewish mysticism, early Christian mysticism, when we had Yahweh, and Yahweh needed the sophistication of Sophia because he was kind of a brute. And so then Sophia, the feminine wisdom of God, was the softening aspect. And then we see Sophia as Mary in Christianity. And so then, you know, but also we see it in Greek mythology as Venus, and the different aspects of Venus. So then that feminine wisdom, really important. And so in Sagittarius, you know, and Sagittarius has an interesting, you know, relationship too. You know, in pop astrology, it's the person who likes to travel, adventures like that, you know. But really, when it comes down to it, Sagittarius is about the quest for meaning. You know, the Sagittarius wants to travel not just because he's frivolous, but because he wants to understand different cultures and go dive deep into the meaning, and wants to get different perspective, so that he can evolve and know the highest truth. That's a higher evolution. So then we can look at the, you know, the pop astrology, you know, likes to travel, really fun at parties, you know, kind of, you know, or we can look at the intuitive centaur, and we could look at Venus from that perspective, and that would be more suiting.
I think another thing I just find interesting is, so when Venus goes into Sagittarius on the 29th of December, it's making connection, and will continue to as it goes through Sagittarius, with Leo and Aries. So there's this supportive energy with both the other fire signs too, which should be interesting to see how that manifests.
Well, we talked about it. Yes, we talked about the 2024 astrology forecast video. We talked about everything that's going on with Pluto. But first, let's flesh out Mars in Cap. So I called in this case Venus in Sagittarius as an influencer, someone who would motivate me to grow and to become more than I am in terms of living my truth. So then what would Mars in Capricorn be like?
Mars action and drive in Capricorn, the ability to manifest an earth sign with strong strengths in creating things. So there's like the builder energy. What did you call this? The influencer and
the manifester. You use the word manifesting. Right. So key word for Capricorn, ruled by Saturn. Saturn is the discipline that I have to manifest my vision, Jupiter. And so then Saturn Capricorn is about giving form to things. So then when Mars enters into Capricorn, then the hero is interested in manifesting something in the earth, creating some structure that will endure, motivated by Venus, then Mars, you know. And in mythology, we'll show you a picture, Venus and Mars had a relationship, which was a clandestine relationship, and they had a son named Harmonia or Harmony. And so, you know, there's always, you know, great tension. I mean, Venus, the glyph of Venus is what we use for woman, you know, the circle with the cross underneath, and then the masculine, you know, circle with the arrow. These are natural symbols that we use. They're actually astrological symbols that we use to define man and woman. And so then here we are looking at that. And so does that flesh out Mars in Capricorn?
It's neat how when you say the symbol, I think of like the arrow pushing forward is also like Jupiter, right? Or sorry, in Sagittarius.
Right.
And then Capricorn, Venus's symbol of like the cross of matter underneath the circle is about Earth and connecting it to Earth, and that's Capricorn. So they're kind of, I wonder if there's some mutually beneficial, there can be harmony between the two of them right now.
Jung talks about Mars in terms of the planet responsible for individuation. He sees the sun and the arrow saying, okay, it's time to fully become myself. So then Mars coming into Capricorn, it's like time to fully be who I am and to give form to that. So then, those two things, the influencer, Venus in Sagittarius, and Mars in Capricorn.
That's a good description. Sure.
So then Venus and Mars and Mercury are all traveling together, and the sun, and they're all coming to a conjunction with Pluto. And, you were talking about the moon, right? So not this next new moon, but the next one after that, you're going to have a sun, moon, Venus, and Mercury and Mars will be all really close to Pluto. That'll be the January new moon. And so, end of January. So that will be very interesting. February, all of that's going to be coming. And so we'll be talking lots about that. And so that's kind of what we got to say. Anything else do we have to say about? Well, let's see what the slides got.
Sure, okay. So, the influencer and the manifester.
Or sassy and feisty. I will be sassy and you'll be feisty.
Sounds great.
So we have the dates there. Mars will be in Capricorn from the 4th of January till February 13th, and Venus will be in Sagittarius from December 29 to January 23rd. We did this video together as one video because we were running out of time and we wanted to make sure we covered them. And one of the things that's really important about, and Diana, why don't you tell us, Diana?
Sure. So this is the chart for the Mars ingress into Capricorn. And as I was kind of looking at it and writing it out, I noticed that, so Mars in Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Saturn is in Pisces, ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is in Taurus, ruled by Venus. And Venus is in Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter. So that's the finding the final dispositor that Martin shared so much with us. And it shows us that Venus and Jupiter are in mutual reception between Taurus and Sagittarius because they're in each other's signs, which is quite interesting. And I think that's going to really give Venus an interesting leg up. But then it also means that it rules the Mars and Saturn too.
So this technique that we teach, finding the final dispositor, is based on the rulership of the planets to each sign. And if you look at the table, you can see the glyph of the planet. You see Sagittarius, Jupiter, Capricorn, Saturn, then Aquarius. Here we have Saturn and Uranus. Then Pisces, we have Jupiter, Neptune. This new way of doing it now really shows really well what's going on AriesMars, and then Taurus, Venus, and Mercury, Gemini. And so what we got here is see Cancer and Leo. We have the sun and the moon. Cancer is ruled by the moon. Leo is ruled by the sun. And these are the only signs that are ruled by the sun and the moon. On both sides, Gemini, Virgo, ruled by Mercury. Next are signs ruled by Venus, and then sign ruled by Mars, and then signs ruled by Jupiter, and signs ruled by Saturn. And so then you look at where the planet is and where the ruler is. So Neptune and Saturn are in Pisces, ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is in Taurus, ruled by Venus. Venus is in Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter. So now we have the final dispositors of the chart are Venus and Jupiter, and they are the strongest planet. And for the duration of Venus and Sagittarius, that's going to be the case. And so we've been experiencing that. And so, what would a mutual reception of Venus and Jupiter influence the psychology of the times? How would that be?
That's a good question. I hope you can flesh this out better than me. I would say it's gonna I mean, I already look at Venus and Sagittarius as pretty optimistic and very influencer is a good word, and being able to influence your showing up for your most potential, but also for your needs and for understanding things on a deeper level, but then also taking care of your body and taking care of your home and expanding the container that Venus needs to be able to go higher into higher evolutions.
Well,
What
I
would you
think,
say?
well, it would be very flirty, right? It would be
Right.
Venus and
Sag and Taurus
Sagittarius
too.
and and Jupiter and Taurus. So then we have like this, really big, playful, creative, emancipating, and
Volcanoes.
and it's good to know also that everything in Capricorn, Pluto, Sun, and Mars are ruled by Saturn. Saturn is in Pisces, ruled by Jupiter. So then Mars in Capricorn is also ruled by Jupiter. So all of these archetypal structures ultimately are in service to this enthusiasm, Jupiter and Venus, the Sophia kind of thing, But of course, there would be lower octave of expression, which would be very sassy, very flirty, very, like, yeah. But then there's also this, Sagittarian, because the higher aspect of Jupiter is the wise teacher, right? The father king, and so then there's that angle to it too, right?
Mm-hmm.
How does that feel?
Feels exciting.
So let's look at the next slide. Okay, so here we go. Now we have the myth of Venus and Mars. So in the beginning of the year, we organized a conjunction of Venus and Mars, very close to Pluto. So, so here you have Hephaestus, who's the husband of Venus. And you have Mars and Venus in bed together on the couch of Venus. And Hephaestus was, blah, 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 I have a hard time pronouncing. He set up a trap, a net to catch them because he knew they were coming. And now he called all of the gods to be witness to the adultery of Venus and Mars. And so you got Apollo in his chariot as the sun, you got Athena, the virgin warrior, you got all, you got Zeus, you got all the different goddesses, you got Pan there, you got Pluto all the way in the back, and then you got Mercury all the way in the back, and they're all there witnessing and so there's a big drama. And of course, Venus doesn't care, and nor does Mars, and they go on with their business. But that's kind of, if you think about it, it's like Dallas or something like that. It's a soap opera, and so then really these kind of soap opera kind of story that we have in the relationship of masculine and feminine, they're mirrored by what's going on in mythology. And so that's what's something really interesting about Greek mythology is that it's kind of a archetypal foundation to our psychology.
Hmm.
That's fascinating, isn't it?
Super neat. Interesting. Ole.
Ole is right. So, blah, 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 blah. So we talked about Venus and Mars, and we talked about them coming into, and now you're going to show us the alchemical opportunities.
Let's dive in. This is a fun time to pull out your chart if you have your chart handy. So on the 29th, Venus ingressed into Sagittarius. And then Happy New Year, everyone. 2021 begins with Venus squaring Saturn. That'll be an interesting one. We didn't dive into that much.
Well, I think that Venus being, Saturn being in Pisces ruled by Jupiter, and we have Jupiter, Saturn in a sextile during this whole period. So then, and then Mars being in Capricorn. So then that, influencer manifester with the Saturnian discipline and the Jupiterian enthusiasm, it kind of fits into the whole context of what we've been talking about.
Very supportive for Venus to start the year off, hey?
Mm-hmm.
And then on January 2nd, Mercury stations direct at 22 degrees Sagittarius, and then it will continue pretty quickly through Sag into Capricorn.
Already here's Mercury has come past Venus. Oh no, it's coming back into, and then all three of them with the sun are going to go into Aquarius and all meet at Pluto. So that's like the drama's going on. And, there'll be a Venus, Mercury Mars conjunction, then a Mercury conjunct the sun, and then Venus, Mars, and all Pluto there, and then they're all going to go down. So we talked about that in the forecast for 2024, blah, blah, blah.
And we'll dive more into it. Got a little time.
Mm-hmm.
January 4th, Mars ingresses into Capricorn. And then on the 11th, Venus trines Chiron. So that should be hopefully some good healing energies to come through.
Well, we're going to have Venus trine Capricorn, trine Chiron, and then we're going to have Mars square Chiron as well.
Yeah.
Yep, keep going.
Okay. And then Mars first will trine Jupiter and give it a little extra zing.
Mm-hmm.
And then on January 19th, Venus will square Neptune at 25 degrees.
Mm-hmm. Somebody was telling us that they take screenshots of all our slides and keep them for their information. So you can also do that. Then we have Venus ingresses into Capricorn on the 23rd. Then Mars trines Uranus, which should be fiery. And then Mars ingress into Aquarius on February 13th. So that's really all of the information that we have for you today. How do you feel? Do you feel you're prepared for this? Well, how do you feel about this Venus and Mars relationship that we just talked about? What does that mean for
You're
you?
scaring me. A lot. Okay. I feel hopeful and excited, and yeah, like it's going to be a great way to propel some change and fresh energy, which I'm very much looking forward to in the new year, and with these ingresses, and also get some work done, hopefully some recuperation, taking care of my Venus that's been a little depleted lately.
Well, with Venus and Scorpio, it was hard to be, feeling good and positive about anything. But then Venus comes into Sagittarius and woo-hoo, and then Mars in the Cat. Well, Mars has been in Sagittarius, but it kind of felt like Venus was bringing everything down, huh? So, but now I think that we're gonna get a little bit lighter about life and more playful.
Yeah. And else, do you feel anything else about this that we should think about, or?
No, I think that we fleshed that out pretty good.
Okay.
Let us know what you think. If you have any questions, as usual, it's really fun to share the stage with you, my dear.
Likewise.
I think that this
I
was
like our new setup.
we keep evolving, and hopefully the sound is good. And let us know what you think, and we'll keep them coming.
Happy New Year, everyone. Be well.